following is a set of brief instructions on how to play the Dead Poets game. Most of you have probably never heard of this ancient phenomenon that circled around England in the late 1800s during the Industrial Revolution. This practice can still be used by certain people, but I must warn you that what you will partake in is extremely dangerous. You must follow all instructions perfectly or else forever in danger. Now you might be asking questions. What is a dead poet? In the 1800s, stories of ghosts and goblins were circling all throughout Northern Europe. Everybody only thought of these spirits as mere fairy tales. It was, of course, all too true when one night at the London Theatre, someone performed this exact game in front of a large audience. This man was a Fizz psychic who was mostly renowned for his unbelievable talent of precognition. Alexander Kingsley was his name. He mostly performed magic tricks and various other acts of illusion that even I can't figure out. One of which he seemingly cut off his own foot and then reattached it in only 60 seconds. Of course, I'm just getting sidetracked. With the craze of the ghosts and demons becoming famous throughout the world, Alex used this to his advantage. He was gonna play a little game that he heard of and wanted to test out if it was real or not. The items needed are a candle, 2 glasses of wine, and a table and 2 chairs. You'll see why later. Alexander heard tales of what would happen if he played the game and thought it would be a good idea in order to bring in profit. You see, his tricks had, gone a little stale, if you know what I mean. The idea of actually summoning a ghost on stage and was the perfect idea to reel in a crowd. Soon, posters and advertisements were well plastered all across London. Come see the mysterious Ace for tonight at 8 o'clock. He will summon the undead. The peaceful slumber. Come and see for yourself at the London Theatre House. Of course, this was back when literally everyone was a gullible idiot, although nothing has really changed. Now has it. At that very night, Alexander, or Ace, was going to perform the game improperly. He wasn't acquainted with the key rules he had to follow. The rules. You have to be alone. You have to do it in a place where someone has been. You have to take everything seriously. Alex was disrespecting these rules to the core, and the punishment for not following these rules are, you'll see later. The setup you have to follow is that you have to be in the vicinity of someone who has recently passed away. In fact, you need to place your table in the exact place in which they had died. You need to put your chair, the head, and the other where the legs were. It also matters who died. It needs to be of a poet, hence the name. A poet can also be described as a calm, well-spoken, and nice soul. So if your husband was a very humble and collected person, then you could play the game. The reason for this is because when you contact the spirit, it'll often take the shape of a soul trapped in the area. If you want to have a nice conversation with the spirit, you'll want to be taking. You wouldn't want it taking the shape of a demon, now would you? This brings us to the first rule. Be alone. If you aren't alone, then the spirit may possess the poor soul who didn't sit down in the head chair, or as I call it. And trust me, it is very hard to save a soul from this fate. If the other person gets possessed, the ghost will have full control over the body. Sometimes if it is, then your friend may do unspeakable things to you and anyone around him or her. The same rules apply if you don't sit down in the head chair, or if you don't have the table placed in the right spot. If you're like me, at this point you probably predicted the fate of Alexander and his audience. But trust me when I say this, not following the rules in which you're supposed to act in a sensible manner is the worst one of them all. And poor Alex was a 19th century magician with brightly flamboyant colors for clothes. Not following this could haunt you for the rest of your days. But the fact that Alex was breaking all these rules was even worse. To properly play, you must lock yourself in the room, closing all the blinds, and be sure to do it at night, No light must be permitted in this room at this time, except for the faint flickers of light emin- emanating from the candle that you need to place on the table. Take out the 2 wine glasses and pour both glasses with the of your choosing. This symbolizes a peace offering to the spirit, showing that you mean no harm to him or her. I should remind you that you must have no form of technology inside the room. Also, you must make sure that you have no way of contacting anyone else in the outside world. To start, you must call the spirit that you mean no harm to them. You pour the glasses and raise your own to take a sip. If you've done this correctly, after lowering the glass, there will be someone sitting across from you. At this point, you must not display any signs of fear in your voice or your facial expressions. You must not provoke the spirit in any way. Mm, um, um, Sorry about that. There. Sorry, this is real. I'm trying to get music playing so that way. This is my channel of horror intro. Introduction, or as I call it, the pilot. So if you're seeing my video I've released a few months ago, I'm actually doing the channel. I announced to everyone that I would be doing a channel of horror series, and I am playing the mute. I'm playing music. I wanted to play some music so that way you can get to now. Where were we? Oh yes. Now, where were we? Oh yes. Okay. To start, you must call spirit menial. If you have done, you must act. You must act sensible. To start the game, you must say, I wish to start a match. The ghost will usually nod and raise the glass. The spirit will be taking the appearance and personality of a deceased body of her choosing. Remember that you must treat the spirit as if it's actually in the room. If you don't, then you'll be met with weird looks and eventual frustration and anger. Of course, nobody in their right mind would want to mess with a ghost. To play, you have to say the letter you want to be, A or B. If you must say of the letter, say your letter. If done properly, the spirit will take another sip. I should remind you that every time the entity takes a drink, you must too. For this will be your timer. When both glasses are empty, the spirit will leave. If both glasses are uneven, the spirit will not leave until you have finished. Now, again, you might be thinking to yourself, that isn't so hard. All I have to do is finish drinking and then he or she leaves. What's the big deal? Well, I can certainly tell you that you would want to spend as much time away from the spirit as much as possible. The creature is purposely trying to get you drunk so that he can reveal your deepest secrets. It can find out about your personal life, your job, your family, your relationships, etc. This is just a way so that the spirit can enter your mind and slowly dissolve it. It causes some people to. Some entities have powers and abilities that we are yet to fully understand. Angering, pleasing, or agitating a spirit like this can have dire consequences. A game plays like this. Player A will ask a question, and player B will have to answer it. After the spirit answers it, it will take a sip, and the letters will alternate. You will be player B. The spirit will ask a question and then take a sip. You can ask any question you want, and so can he or she. You keep altering until you both run out of wine. When this happens, whoever is player A when the wine runs out automatically wins the game. If you win, the spirit will raise his or her glass and walk into the shadows. Remain seated even when he's returned to his rightful place. Blow out the candle and turn on the lights and exit the room. It sounds relatively easy, doesn't it? Of course, what happens when you lose is a whole other story. If you lose, the spirit will blow out the candle. Turning on the light is probably the best defense mechanism against the spirit. Ghosts aren't drawn to light and often avoid it. Still, that doesn't mean you're safe. The spirit may start following you through your life. Even every time you go into a dark room, you'll see it just out of the corner of your eye. Whenever you look into a mirror, you'll see it standing right behind you. It'll stalk you, hunt you down until you finally muster the courage towards. The soul is yours. It is yours to do business with. If you say it successfully, you'll black out. You'll wake up in a room similar to your own, except darker and stranger. There's no doors or windows, just a bed. Now, as your soul, it can choose to do whatever it wants with your body. Think of this strange room as sort of a waiting room. As soon as someone else wants to play, you'll be summoned and be forced to play. And forced back into that room, and you'll have to wait again. Sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Usually you are the only person in this dimension, and until you're summoned, nobody else can enter. A year before the phenomenon had spread in England and made popularized by owls, a person named Pierre played the game using the area of his unlucky. He had heard of the game and had heard of the effects. He thought if he lost and was summoned somewhere like England, he would be able to escape from his life imprisonment. So locked up in this French prison he performed the game. He purposely lost, not knowing how horrible this fate actually was. He spent a whole year in his screaming agony, banging on the concrete walls. As he got no response from anyone or anything, he went insane. He became the very definition of a demon. He was unable to form sentences. He couldn't think straight, and all he could think of was leaving that. Then one cold November night, Alexander released Pele from his cell with no real way of a human form. When with an overwhelming audience by, says Pierre could not control himself. He was transformed into his natural body, except he had aged exceptionally. His clothes were tattered and worn out, and he was screaming like a rabid dog. He was foaming from the mouth. He attacked and took his. He had become Alex. He ran out of the theater. Crowds were running after him, some calling him a genius, and others calling him a monster. Alexander automatically lost the game. He didn't follow the rules, and thus his fate had befallen him. And so, if you've learned anything by this, do not take the risk by playing this game. It will ruin you. It will destroy you. It will dismantle the very fabric of your world. If you do choose to play the game, I would suggest playing alone. So that was the creepypasta was the Chris Division channel of horror. Why I'm choosing to do creepypastas is because they are usually the horror. They are usually the form of scary stories. They are the reason as to why I choose to do creepypastas as my channel of horror is because they are usually a way, because it usually resembles Halloween, and people usually tell scary stories during Halloween, which makes sense. And I would have gotten my creepypasta schedule all figured out for my channel of horror series. So, starting from week 1, I will do rituals. Then the second week, lost episodes. Third week, video games. And week 4, internet. Week might do some image creepypastas as well. So anyways, if you like what you hear or see, make sure you subscribe and leave a like. And this is my pilot episode. Episode 1 will come out in October. If you want to see it, make sure to tune in and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.